started this morning, I have just some lovely folks that are going to tell you a little bit about an opportunity for study abroad. So I'm going to pass this down, and they're going to tell you about that, and then I'll...
Hello, my name is Maddie. We're student ambassadors for CIEE. So we have attendance. We work with the Penn State Study Abroad office. So if you could just scan any of these QR codes, just letting them know who we've talked to. Just pick whichever one you want. And then there's a form at the bottom. If you slide down, just put your name and info in there. Okay, so my name's Maddie. I studied abroad last spring in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm a global international studies major.
Hi, my name is Kim. I'm a senior at Penn State and I studied abroad in the spring of my junior year. I studied in Seville, Spain, as well as Michelle, she also did. And I majored in psychology and I minored in Spanish and human development and family studies.
Hi guys, my name is Michelle Giannini. I'm also a senior. I studied in Sevilla spring of my junior year. I'm a supply chain major with minors in Spanish and international business. And I would definitely recommend studying abroad with this company. They were awesome. And for the attendance QR codes, anyone works, but you could just scan one of them. We really need to show the study abroad office who we talk to. So what is CIE? CIE stands for Council on International Education Exchange. It's a nonprofit company that was created in 1947. They run study abroad programs in 33 cities in 26 countries. Really, if you want to go anywhere, there's probably a program for you. Their programs have a strong focus on educational and intercultural experiences. Like myself, for example, I taught English to an elementary school, just volunteering, which was a great experience, and they kind of tailor any experience you want to yourself and like what you want to get out of it. Internships, service volunteer opportunities, intercultural learnings, they're all given with the program. They do a lot of like exchanges to local cities and excursions, and yeah, overall they're really flexible and just want you to have the best experience.
So like Michelle said, CIE has locations all across the world. So most people think of studying abroad and going to Europe, but they have locations in places like Africa and Latin America, and just the different cities they have are some of the major ones you'll know of, or some of the small ones that'll give you a really good feel of the country. And all of these locations have different programs that they offer. So if you're specifically interested in STEM or something like that, there might be some cities that are a better fit for you. CIE also has a lot of scholarships and grants, and I know that this year they expect to award $6 million to their students. And sometimes studying abroad can even be cheaper than going to school here. So that's really important to consider because it's not as costly as a lot of people imagine. So they have a lot of need-based grants, merit-based grants, and other opportunities. And you can also check with the Education Abroad office here to see if any scholarships they offer, as well as your major or whatever college you're in may have funding that can help you with your experience. And also, since you guys scan the attendance QR code, just having your name in our system can give you a $200 referral discount for the program.
So there are different terms that you can study abroad. I know that depending on what you study, there's different availability that you can go abroad. We all did a spring semester, but just that there are other options available is important to know. So these are our emails. There's one other student ambassador on campus that's not here. The idea is just that we've studied abroad. We're students. We're here to help you with any questions, whether it's applying or looking for funding, I got a scholarship, so or like we can talk about our experiences, anything you want to know. We'll do office hours with you, meet with you. If by scanning that QR code, we'll also have your email, so we'll put those back up again if you didn't scan it, but we just want to offer ourselves as resources for any students interested in studying abroad.
Just to say, it was the highlight of my college experience, and I definitely think that it's something that you should try. And even if you're a junior, you could plan for next year. Freshman, sophomore, you might think that you have some time to figure it out, but it's also really important to just plan around your classes, speak to your academic advisor, the education abroad advisors, because it really is something that's a very unique part of the Penn State office. They really do help you get all the resources you need to go, so I highly encourage it if you can.
I feel like, yeah, similar to what Maddie and Kim said, it's a great experience. It's a once in a lifetime, so if you're thinking of it in the slightest, definitely talk to your academic advisors as soon as possible. It's something I wouldn't trade for the world in my college experience, so definitely recommend. Thank you, guys.
So this week, I have not yet put these announcements up in Canvas, but I will do so. This week you're working on a concept map with your reflection action assignment. This is an example of a concept map, finding connections with all of the information that's in chapter 5 of your book. And so how are those things, the ideas that you find there in the book, how are they connected, or how are they not connected? How are they separate? And so use all of your cool equipment to do this, connect your vagus nerve and your head and your heart and your gut. See what happens for you when you do this kind of concept map. So this is one variety. Yours is probably going to look more like this with lots of different circles and lines, and you might have connecting information in between, like what connects these things. Could be bold lines or thin lines, depending on what the connection is that you see. You can do different colors. You can be as artsy with this as you want to or not, depending on how you take in that information and then how you can process it in the form of a concept map. I use this as one of the tools for learning in this class because I have found that concept maps really have helped me in a lot of different ways. So if I'm struggling to make a choice about something, it's not the pros and cons list anymore, but it's kind of how all the things are interrelated. So I find that concept mapping can be helpful for all kinds of ways of processing information. So that's why it's included as one of the tools that you get to use in this class. So concept maps, part of your assignments. And then this opportunity is available to you, the Pack Back assignment makeup time. You can make up as many Pack Back assignments, reflections, or responses that you missed, and they'll be counted in your final grade. So between Monday, March 6th at 8 a.m. and Sunday, March 12th at 11:59, you can make up as many of those as you'd like. If you have questions about that, feel free to message me or your TA, and we'll help you out with that. So, all of the Pack Back questions are listed in Canvas, so you can go back and get that list of questions there. And then on to our topic for today. Thinking about this, William Anders took this photo in December of 1968, called it Earthrise, standing on the moon, taking this photo. It's our planet, the blue planet, the first time that anyone had seen it from outer space. Earthrise. What we can take note of from this distance, from the moon's distance, is the ocean. how the ocean stands out. That's our topic for today, is oceans. So I'd like you to dive into this a little bit by thinking about our breath and coming to presence with our breath. The ebb and flow of our breath, like the ebb and flow of the waves at the ocean, the in and the out, the rhythms of life that are in and part of us, but then in and part of everything around us too. So that ebb and flow. So I'd like you to take a quiet moment first and think about what is your relationship with the ocean. What's your relationship with the ocean? Doug talked a lot about relationship with birds, particularly, with nature in general. And so what's your relationship with the ocean? How do you feel about the ocean? So take a minute and really dive in for yourself. Make some notes on your page if you'd like. Maybe a concept map, a mini concept map. And then once you feel good about, feeling settled in your own space, talk to your neighbor about it. Your relationship with the ocean. Microphone's out. It's coming to you, right?
I have always loved the ocean. Hate sand, nature's glitter, awful, but ocean, love it. It's just there, something that you can admire and watch. You can also just enjoy it by swimming in it. It is a bit scary that we don't fully know what's out there, but that also adds a little bit of like mystery to it. I don't know.
Yeah. For sure. Thank you.
Jen, we have someone in the balcony.
Okay, we'll be up to you in just a second. Thank you.
So we were talking about how oceans are scary because it's like unknown. Like, I think krakens are real personally, so I think that definitely exists. So like we were saying, like you're on a cruise ship and you like fall off, you're just gonna drown, and that's like terrifying.
Yeah. So something unknown. The unknown is scary. Up in the balcony. Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm a sailor, and I'm always really nervous being out in the middle of nowhere just because, like, you look out and all you see is water. And also, like, when the ocean is really, really deep blue and I go swimming, like, I'm terrified of, like, what's just, like, around me.
Yeah. And so how did you choose to be a sailor?
My parents grew up sailing, so I just kind of did it.
Okay. And do you like it?
I love it.
Oh.
I used to compete when I was younger, but then I moved to a landlocked state, so.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Jen, we have someone else, maybe after.
Okay. Go ahead, Matt. We'll get the microphone up here next. Hey, Jade, do you have a microphone that you could bring up to the front row here? While this person's here. Yeah.
So I personally like the idea of the ocean, but I don't like the ocean. I don't go in it because I don't like not knowing what I'm about to land on or step on. and it freaks me out.
Yeah.
My relationship with the ocean.
But why do you like the idea of it?
Well, I grew up in Long Island, so I'm surrounded by water, obviously, and I like to go out on the boat and like sunny days, but I just hate going in the water because I never know like what I'm gonna touch or.
All the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Okay. Thank you for saying so. Yes.
Yeah, so I really love the ocean. I think like sea creatures are some of my favorite creatures on the planet, and the colors under the sea are just so beautiful, and you don't really get to see that same thing on land. I think it's interesting that as humans, we see land as like the dominant force of the world, but really it's the oceans. I mean, it takes up the most space. And I also think it's interesting that the ocean is a destination for people to go to, you know? That's how we perceive that.
Yeah.
But we only ever go 10, 20 feet into it. We don't know what else is beyond there, and I think that's really cool.
Quite often. That is cool. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually also sailed when I was younger, and I can agree it's pretty terrifying at only like getting pushed along by the current and the wind, and just being like subject to the elements. But I loved doing it when I did do it, until like I really started to appreciate how strong the ocean was, because I like ended up really hurting myself out on the water, and it was not fun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the power of it. Right? Crazy. Cool. Thank you.
Jen, we have another person up here.
Okay, great.
Hi, I find a lot of peace in the ocean. I think that's where I feel most content in my life, and hopefully I can live there one day. But someone mentioned earlier, like, touching the floor and, like, not knowing what you're touching. Like, that, like, deters people from going to the ocean, but I think that makes you want to go in it more because the uncertainty and, like, we're kind of invading their habitat, so you get to kind of connect to them a little bit when you're there.
Sweet. Thank you. I love all these stories. This is great. Thank you. So we're going to talk a little bit about some sailors, particularly the Polynesian sailors. The Polynesian sailors are the ones that really discovered or went from island to island, particularly in the Pacific Ocean. And so how do they find those islands? Knowing that there's land out there somewhere, how do they even know that? So talking about the sailing adventures, I appreciate those perspectives. So these sailors, as children, were put into tide pools at a young age, and they developed sensitivities to the currents of the ocean, the abilities to really read what's happening in the water and deciphering the patterns of the swells. Thousands of miles were traversed on ships, you know, like this. And so no sextants, no compasses. They traveled to small islands, uninhabited islands, using wayfinding techniques and knowledge passed on with the oral tradition, often through song, being taught by their elders through songs about how to do this art of moving from island to island. So it relies heavily on this constant observation and memorization. The navigator has to be constantly aware of the surroundings. Which birds are flying by? Where did they come from, and where might they be going? The birds know, right? So how can we use that bird knowledge by following them, or by going where they came from? Which way are the clouds moving, and how fast are they moving? These are all pieces of information that the navigators used, as well as, of course, the sun was the main guide, because they could follow its exact points as it rose and as it set each day. And at nighttime, they would switch to using the rising and setting points of the stars. And when it was cloudy, and they didn't have those things, then they could use the winds and the swells to guide them. So they were able to detect changes in the speeds of their canoes anytime, day or night. And so the wave direction that we're talking about here, as the waves come this way, then they have to go around the island, and it creates these really interesting patterns that these folks were able to decipher, discern, and in order to find new places that might be inhabitable for life, for human life. It's a real body-based intelligence, something I can't even imagine. I have a collection of all of these feelings like you shared, the excitement, the uncertainty, a little bit of fear you know, do I really want to put my feet in that water? And yet something draws me to the ocean. I feel so connected to it. I just love being there, the power of it. So all of these kind of emotions wrapped up in it. This inspiring woman, Sylvia Earle, spoke here in March of 2020, and I've always talked about her in this class. And then I went to hear her speak, and through her presence and her education, I gained her energy and love of the ocean, and so all of this is even more meaningful. She is connected, she is passionate, she is compassionate, and she has this understanding and innate intelligence of the ocean. She says, even if you never have the chance to see or touch the ocean touches you with every breath you take, every drop of water you drink, every bite of food that you consume. So saying how big the ocean is, we often look at a map that looks like this, the land-centric map, so from the land perspective, and so it makes the oceans kind of look like it's just the stuff that goes around the land. And so as you were saying, we often think about these, you know, life or the perspective from the land, and yet if we switch our perspective and think about it from the ocean-centric perspective, we have these vast spaces. We label and separate the oceans, but really it's just one body of water surrounding all this land. About 71% of the earth is water covered, and the oceans hold about 97% of all of Earth's water. So water also exists in the air as water vapor, and then of course rivers and lakes, ice caps and glaciers, in the ground as soil moisture or underground aquifers, and even in you and me and your dog, right? There's water in all of us. And all of that equals about 3%. The oceans are so vast. And because of the depths, the different strata of life and habitats, the ocean holds 99% of the biosphere. That means of the living things on our planet, 99% of that is in the water. What we know as life on land is simply 1%. So it's stuff like this. Scuba divers can take pictures like this. A friend of mine in Hawaii sent me these pictures from one of his recent dives. So white-tipped reef shark that he saw, or this pair of eagle rays, you know. But when we enter this world of water, we encounter a number of problems. The average scuba diver even becomes incapacitated at a depth of 250 feet. That's pretty far down. So we've developed some other tools, submersibles like this, you know, to get to even deeper for our exploration. But even then, the scuba gear has limitations of how far we can really go. Our bodies aren't made to withstand those kind of pressures. And yet deep sea creatures have been, this is 250 feet, right? Deep sea creatures have been found as far as 11,500 feet, over 2 miles down in the water. So when we're not able to do it that way with scuba gear, we can go down in submersibles like this, right? And as we go down, we need more and more tools to make it possible to see what's going on. And there's a lot going on. So Ben's going to start a little video here just of some of what's going on down there. This is actually a video, Ben, for later. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. This is it. Thank you.
1,000 million tons of sea creatures ascend from the deep ocean to search for food near the surface. They graze on the phytoplankton under cover of darkness. Even so, they're far from safe. Other marine hunters follow them, some traveling up from hundreds of meters below. At dawn, the whole procession returns to the safety of the dark depths.